Here today, we're talking about probably one of the most insane films you will ever see. And I mean that in a good way. Hi, my name's Drew and welcome to another review video on Flying Wiener. The film in question is RRR, or RRR it's being called online mostly. I suppose that's the easiest way to say. The three R's are an abbreviation for Rise, Roar and Revolt. Now, this film, I was so excited to watch it because I've seen so many comments online, not just on YouTube videos of other channels that I watch with reviews, but also on social media, so on Twitter and other places. I keep seeing people, mainly from India, because understandably, you know, if there's a great film that comes from your land, you want more people to see it. I absolutely understand that. And so I saw these comments popping up all over the place, like, watch RRR, you know, you need to watch this film, you just watch it. And I also saw that earlier this year, it also made a small dent at the worldwide box office, you know, so it was on my radar for a longer time, and kept seeing individual little clips being shared online of scenes that look just quite insane, action-wise, a lot going on. And I thought, yes, this looks like a film I absolutely want to see. So I sat down to do so. Be warned, the film is 3 hours long, so it is rather long. I believe that I watched on Netflix, but I believe they have the rights to a worldwide distribution. I might be wrong, but you'll have to check in your own country where you can watch it. But you should look at Netflix first to see if it's there. That's how I saw it, so I saw it on Netflix at home. Unfortunately not in the cinema. I would have supposed seeing this in the cinema would probably be really, really amazing. It's very difficult to describe this film, as I feel it's not just one thing, it is many, many, many different things. It tries to do many things and it achieves those very, very well, I will say. Straight off the bat, the film had a budget seemingly of around $72 million approximately, and I'll be honest, I think that was money very well spent. I feel that they've done quite a lot with that money. Now, if I do have any criticisms, etc., it all comes from the heart. I really am a fan of the film. I enjoyed it quite a lot. But yes, there are some issues that I have with the film and some things that I may joke about. You know, just take them lightheartedly because that's how they are intended. Okay, so the film itself, what is it about, RRR? Now, the film is actually very interesting. It starts off with sort of three small introductions. You're introduced to various things in the story in the first, I'll call it hour or so maybe, and then for the last 2 hours we see how those three parts, they all come together, you know, to form the big story that we're there for. The film itself is focused on two characters, and they live very, very different lives. The whole thing is set in India, mostly in Delhi, and we are in the year 1920 or around 1920, so this is while the British Empire was occupying India. So that's the situation we're in. And we, like I said, we have two main characters that we are focused on. If you see any posters of the film, I would suppose typically those two are on them. One of them is played by N.T. Rama Rao Jr. His character in the film is called Overacting Bheem. By the way, if I'm mispronouncing any of this, as per usual, please forgive me, I'm trying to do my best. So he is from this sort of rural tribe that lives outside of Delhi, and what happens to him, his story is that the British forces, the local governor, I'll call it, he is just having a nice day out with his wife, and one girl in the village, she does some tattoo painting on the wife's fingers, while she's singing a beautiful song. And as you can imagine, imperialist occupiers are like, I like that, I'll just take that home with me. Once they realise what happens, it's unfortunately already too late, and Bheem is the guy who is then tasked with retrieving the daughter from Delhi. So he has a mission basically to go into the big city and somehow not only find this girl but bring her back. So that's one half of the story. The second half of the story, we're focused on another man. He is played by Ram Charan, and his name in the film is Alluri Sitarama Raju. Now, I'll just keep to the shortened version, so Bheem and Raju, that's the simplest. I believe also to make sure that I don't mispronounce these names even more. Let's keep it short, and hopefully with some luck that'll be fine. He is actually working with the British, so he is a police officer and he is trying to rise through the ranks of the British Army. He's trying to become what they call a special officer, so he really wants to go high up. So you know, as you can tell from the start, we've got two very contradictory people here with very opposing outlooks, etc. And that is what it's mainly about. So as you can imagine, it's not so easy. What happens is these two guys, they actually meet each other and befriend each other, you know, without really knowing who the other guy is. So they become really great friends over time, and only later, as you will, I assume, predict, because it's quite it's quite evident what's going to happen. So there's a point in the story where it is revealed to each of them, you know, who the other one is, and obviously that brings a lot of conflict with it. Now, I won't go beyond that point, so I won't tell you what happens and how that happens and how they go on from there and all these things, but that's the basic setup. And just sticking with the story, I think that's a really good thing. I really found it very interesting. Also, as a British person myself, I'll be honest, I don't know enough about Britain occupying India. It's definitely a topic I should research at some point. So this was really interesting for me, because imperialism just generally is a concept that I find increasingly difficult to really grasp. You know, now we've obviously got Russia and Ukraine, and just throughout history it's happened to so many people from, you know, the people from other countries are like, I like that country, I shall go there and just occupy it. Why not? You know, it's really insane to me, the thought that people would be like, my way of life is better, so I am going to, you know, just force it onto other people. It's really quite insane. So I really liked and appreciated that aspect of it, because it gave me a bit of an insight. And then just how it all comes together, I really like it. I like the characters and our two main characters as well. Just the whole thing to me was very believable. So they have amazing chemistry, these two guys, you know, when they become friends, and then obviously throughout the film with all the conflict and that, it felt very real to me. So I think both of them did a really good job with this story, you know, to just portray the lives of these two guys. And very interestingly, I learned doing my research, so after having watched the film, that these two guys actually existed. So they were real people that stood up to the British occupation of India. The fascinating thing is that these two people seemingly never met. So this is like a fantasy version. It was great to see, you know, what could have happened if these two guys had met and befriended each other. So I think, I suppose if you are aware of these people and just the history around everything, I suppose this would be a very interesting film for you as well, as long as you're open to, you know, having more fantastical versions of actual historical events. You know, think of it, I suppose, a bit like Inglourious Bastards, where Quentin Tarantino, you know, just freely swap things around and stuff. And that is actually, I'm mentioning that particularly because I read that that was one of the inspirations for the director, I believe. The director, by the way, is S.S. Rajamouli, and I read that he was fascinated, just surprised by, if you've seen Inglourious Bastards, you will know that they actually kill Hitler in the film. And he said, you know, that obviously it's not historically true, but it's just really great to see, also particularly satisfying. So I would assume that this is maybe along those lines. I absolutely get that inspiration. Yeah. So what are the things about this film that make it so insane? The story doesn't sound too exaggerated, you know, it doesn't sound insane or anything, but it's just how it all comes together. They spent those $72 million very well. They inform you at the start of the film that no animals are real, they're all CGI. And while you can tell that they are, it's not a high budget, so we're talking, I don't know, $70 million, that's like Free Guy, I think, or something like that, or maybe Free Guy was a bit more than that. You know, we're talking a bit less than a Venom film, so I think that they did a really good job with the CGI. Yes, you can tell in places, particularly when they're showing off the big British palace or whatever it is, You can see it, but it's fine. It really is fine. They also do a lot with the animals, so I feel, yeah, they did a really, really good job with all the CGI. And general effects, because you've got a lot of action in this film. A lot is happening, things and people are flying through the air. You've got things that are kind of superhuman, you know, big jumps and all these things. Looks great on screen, but it's just, at the same time, it always makes you laugh because there's just a lot of insane stuff going on. You know, I won't even describe it because you just have to watch the film yourself. Yeah, there's always something happening, but they've taken a lot of time to really get their choreography down. So every move is, you know, intended, and there's always a you know, it's like we jump off a bike and in the air we catch a pole, only to use the pole to smash something that then causes something else. You know, everything is deliberate and everything has something happening in consequence of it. And that is where the hilarity comes from. You know, I mean, obviously it's not intended to be a funny film. I mean, not an overly serious one, but I mean, it's not supposed to be slapstick, you know, but you can't help but laugh because it's just so insane what you're watching. All these things and completely unrealistic, but so much fun. The whole film is so much fun because of this, and you've got dancing and singing in it. If you, for instance, if you think this is like a Bollywood film or so where they have a lot of singing and dancing, absolutely not. They use it very sparingly through the film, so it's like only 3 or 4 songs maybe in the whole film, and it works really well because they always have an impact when they happen. They're either really entertaining, you know, just fascinating to watch, or they actually have some gravitas, you know, in the story. They're really important. So, used really well. By the way, this film is called a Tollywood film because it involves people speaking Telugu, which is one of the languages in India. Don't know anything about it, so feel free to enlighten us in the comments down below if you know anything about it. So you can't call this a Bollywood film, it seems it's a Tollywood film, so just so you know. But yes, we've got these, and then the one big criticism I have, but also kind of feeds into the hilarious stuff I mentioned, are slow motion shots. So the director Rajamouli, I don't know if he's a fan of Zack Snyder, but he really, you know, Zack Snyder is an amateur compared to there are just so many slow motion shots here. I love a good slow motion shot, I really do. That's why I don't mind Zack Snyder. But here I feel that if we took out all the slow motion shots, or sped them up at least, we would cut out maybe a third or shorten the film by about a third or so, because there's just so many, you know. It's like, I kind of get it, it's like, we're so proud of this film and all the stuff that's going on, we really want you to take in every single shot. That's what it feels like anyway. But that is the big criticism I have. And sometimes the acting seems a bit very, very too dramatic. It's good, the acting, I like it, particularly, like I said, the bond between the two guys, but sometimes it just seems a bit much, where there's something not so big happening, but the characters are making you feel like, you know, this is really heavy right now. So overall, it is really just a highly entertaining film. Absolutely, I feel the story is great. It really, you feel, like I say, the conflict between the two, so I really enjoyed that a lot. It seems like a really good brotherhood between the two. The fraternal bond is something you can really feel, you know, through the screen. So I really appreciated that a lot. They really spent a lot of time to develop these characters. And it's quite amazing. I mean, this is the first time I saw Ram Charan. He's the one that plays the police officer. And I just throughout the film, I thought, you know, why isn't this guy in Hollywood? Because honestly, I mean, I thought to myself, this is probably one of the best looking men I have ever seen in my entire life. I'm like, why isn't he all over the place? You know, I would imagine that he would be, you know, really, really popular in all sorts of media for all sorts of things. I mean, I don't know, maybe he's a big star in India, which I would definitely co-sign, but, you know, it definitely deserves it. But I would expect or hope that he would, you know, get even further worldwide. The funniest thing to me was when the film was finished, I watched the film with my wife, and she said to me, she said, I think I need to watch the film again, which is really, really actually big praise coming from her, because I mean, I've shown her so many films. We watched all sorts of films, big, meaningful films, Hollywood films, dramas, you know, pretty much everything. Not even Swiss Army Man, which is a bit of an in-joke, by the way, because she absolutely hates Swiss Army Man. One of my most beloved films ever, and she's like, that's just one of the weirdest films out there, I don't like it. I don't know, hate is probably a strong word, but you know, she's like, I don't get why you like this film, it's weird, you're weird, no. But this is what she said, you know, and I would kind of recommend the same. I would say, you know, just watch the film the first time around, just have a go, just take it all in, let it wash over you, and then probably a second viewing will be interesting because you get to pay attention to more things. I believe that there's probably a lot you'll find if you pay more attention to it. The film looks beautiful, it's shot so wonderfully, I really love the quality there, the colours, it's all really popping. Yeah, the main criticism I have, like I say, is sometimes overacting, or maybe not even overacting, just putting too much emphasis into it, you know, into the whole thing. The slow motion shots, I would say, as well, and yeah, just the ridiculousness of it during the fights, etc., because it does go overboard quite a bit. Nonetheless, what a fun film, really. I don't think that you'll be bored watching this film. The 3 hours, they just fly by. There's so much going on. Right, that'll be all from me. With the film, this video is also a bit longer than I typically have it. Now, sorry for that. I do try to keep videos short, but this one, there was just so much to talk about. Yeah, I hope it's okay for you. But if you did enjoy my video, my review, please like, share and subscribe. It's the best way to support this channel. Leave a comment down below. Have you seen this film? What is your opinion on this film? Because everyone must have one. You know? Are there any films like it? That's what I would be particularly interested in. If you know more Tollywood films that you can recommend, etc., put them down in the comments below. By the way, I forgot to mention, if you're watching on Netflix, please take note that there is only one audio track, which is Hindi, so that for the majority of the films where people are not speaking English, it is subtitled. Now, even if you don't usually like watching with subtitles, I would still recommend that you power through because this film is absolutely worth it. So, if you have any comments about the film or anything else that you can recommend, etc., please share them down below. I would enjoy that very much. I'll thank you again for watching this video, and I'll see you the next time on Flying Wiener. Take care. Bye.